Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my predictions for our game against Leicester City in the FA Cup quarter final at the King Power Stadium. So score prediction, I'm going to go with 2-1 to Manchester United, and I think the goal scorers for Man United will be Paul Pogba and Mason Greenwood. Leicester's goal scorer, I'm going to go with Jamie Vardy. Now, this will be a difficult game for Manchester United. Leicester are a well-organised team. They've got some very, very good players. Jamie Vardy, he's a very, very good player. He risen up from non-league football. And he's now at that level as what a lot of Leicester fans wanted. And tomorrow, we've got to do everything we can to keep Jamie Vardy at bay. Leicester have got Iheanacho. He's another player that's good, and we've got to keep him quiet. Leicester have obviously got Youri Tielemans. He's a very, very good midfielder. They've got James Maddison. James Maddison's actually out with injury, and he's a big miss for Leicester because he's one of Leicester's key players. Wilfred Ndidi, he's also one of Leicester's key players, and he could cause problems. Leicester have obviously got Timothy Castagne. He's another good player. They've got Under. Under is actually out with injury. They've got Fofana, who was actually quite good as well. Dennis Pryor. He's another player Leicester have got. I think he's now back from injury. James Justin, I think he's actually out with injury for the season. Perez, he could also cause us problems as well. Leicester have got Johnny Evans. I think he'll be in contention to play tomorrow, so he'll be reuniting with Man United. Leicester have got Ricardo Pereira, but he's out with injury. Another one of their key players is Harvey Barnes. He's out with injury. Wes Morgan, he's also out with injury. And Peter Schmeichel is a good goalkeeper. Leicester have let good players go in recent years. They did lose Ben Chilwell to Chelsea last year. They lost Harry Maguire to us in the summer of 2019. Harry Maguire will be reuniting with his former club tomorrow. They also lost N'Golo Kante and Danny Drinkwater. They went to Chelsea a few years ago. So Chelsea have done good business with Leicester in recent years. They also lost Riyad Mahrez to Man City in the summer of 2018. But despite losing them good players, Leicester are still a very, very consistent team. And you've got to give Brendan Rodgers credit. He's done a very good job at Leicester. He's been Leicester manager now for just over 2 years. He's got a contract with Leicester until 2025. And yet, he has made quite a few signings, Rodgers. Rodgers obviously brought Timothy Castagne in, he brought Under in, he brought Fofana in, he brought Dennis Pryor in, brought James Justin in, brought Youri Tielemans in, and brought Perez in. Brendan Rodgers has managed quite a few clubs in his managerial career. Before he was at Leicester, he was at Celtic. He enjoyed a few years with Celtic. Before he was at Celtic, he was at Liverpool. He enjoyed one good season at Liverpool. Before Liverpool, he was at Swansea, did good there. And before, he's managed Reading and Watford. Leicester hadn't only been consistent under Rodgers, I thought they was consistent under Claudio Ranieri because they won the Premier League under Claudio Ranieri. But we're coming into this game with a lot of confidence because we're coming into this game on the back of a 1-0 win against AC Milan in the Europa League round of 16 second leg. Paul Pogba obviously come off the bench and scored the goal, and it was a very good away performance by Manchester United. Over the course of the two legs, it was 2-1 on aggregate because the first leg against Milan was 1-1 at Old Trafford. Obviously, we won our last league game. We beat West Ham 1-0. Reflecting on that win against West Ham, I can say that assures us a top 4 finish. And we also had a very, very good win against Man City at the Etihad not so long ago. We beaten them 2-0. Wasn't only a good result, it was a very good performance against Man City. And we could have had more than 2 goals. We ended Man City's 21 match winning run, and we are unbeaten in our last 22 Premier League away games. So we have been in good form. We've got a very good record against Leicester. You know, we drew with them earlier on this season 2-2 at the King Power Stadium. We did do the double over Leicester last season. We're beating them 2-0 on the final game of last season, and we're beating them 1-0 at Old Trafford. I think the last time Leicester beat us, wasn't it back in 2015 when they beat us 5-3, or was it back in 2014? As you all know, Marcus Rashford is a doubt for this game. Marcus Rashford came off injured against Milan. He was replaced by Paul Pogba. Rashford was out injured not so long ago because he sustained an ankle injury in our 2-0 win against Man City. Sustained quite a few injuries now as a Man United player. Martial and Edison Cavani, I heard, are also doubts for this game. Obviously, Juan Mata's still out with injury, but he doesn't get in our 11 anyway. Phil Jones, he's obviously still out with injury. Donny van der Beek's just come back from injury not so long ago. De Gea's obviously now back because he was self-isolating not so long ago, and not so long ago De Gea was out due to personal reasons. But it will be interesting to see how Solskjaer approaches this game against Leicester. I'm expecting to make some changes from the 1-0 win against AC Milan. Now, obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoken about Paul Pogba. He says Paul Pogba cares about Manchester United. And Solskjaer has revealed that Man United are in talks over getting Paul Pogba a new contract. Solskjaer hopes Paul Pogba signs a new contract. We've not yet made a formal contract offer. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on Pogba's contract, so he's under contract with the club until June 2022. When he played against Milan, Pogba, that was his first game for Man United since the 3-3 draw with Everton. He's just come back from a thigh injury. Earlier on this season, he had an ankle injury, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So he's sustained a few injuries now at Man United. Yeah, Pogba could still leave Man United in the summer. He's had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and his former club Juventus have been in for him. Pogba's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. And I think we need to put Paul Pogba on the left-hand side, in more of an advanced role because that's where he's more effective. And Paul Scholes has said the exact same thing regarding Pogba. Mini Oriola, Paul Pogba's agent, is desperate to get his client out of the club. Mini Oriola said earlier on this season that he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United, and he did make an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer because Mini Oriola doesn't have a good relationship with Man United and he's being criticised a lot. Made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriola's announcement. Matthias Pogba, Paul Pogba's brother, he gave us an update on Paul Pogba's future earlier on this season, and he actually advised us to sell Pogba in the summer because he said he could leave for nothing next year, and he's mentioned that he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. But I'm glad Paul Pogba's now back because he brings creativity to the team. You know, disregarding Pogba, we lack creativity and we are far too defensive. But I think he should start this game against Leicester because obviously he didn't start against AC Milan. This year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. Now, it's actually said we've identified 5 key transfer targets. So we're looking to bring a striker in. We're looking to bring a defensive midfielder in. We're looking to bring a centre-half in, and we're also looking to bring a right-back in. And it's actually said we've looked at a few goalkeepers who could replace David De Gea. But we don't need a goalkeeper. You know, we should put Dean Henderson as our number 1 because Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number 1. Now, I heard that our transfer budget has been revealed for the summer. It's £80 million. We know that £80 million is nowhere near enough for us to get the players that we want to recommend in. Solskjaer's hoping to sell at least 4 players, so that bolsters our transfer budget, and Ole hopes to raise as much as £60 million. So that would take our transfer budget to £140 million. Solskjaer's already had the transfer summit with John Murtough and Darren Fletcher. You know, Solskjaer was discussing our transfer targets and he was discussing our transfer plans for the summer in general. Solskjaer, I think, will get the backing he deserves in the summer because we've got John Murtough in as a director of football and he knows the club through thick and thin. Darren Fletcher's a technical director and he knows the club through thick and thin. And I think Woodward's going to back Solskjaer because he did a statement not so long ago saying that the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So in that aspect, Woodward is backing him. The summer transfer window will be Solskjaer's 5th transfer window as permanent Man United manager. But there has been quite a few players on our agenda. Now, you obviously know the news on Nikola Milenkovic from Fiorentina. So, Gazzetta dello Sport recently said that Man United are the clear favourites to sign Nikola Milenkovic. We've been in discussions with his agent. He's turned down a new contract at Fiorentina and he's already packing his bags ready for the move to the Premier League. Now he's valued at £30 million. Liverpool have also expressed an interest. Nikola Milenkovic has been at Fiorentina a few years. Fiorentina got him back in 2017 from Partizan. They paid just £5 million. He's under contract with Fiorentina until 2022. Still young and he's got a lot of development in him. He can play as a centre-half and a right-back. There's been quite a few centre-halves on our agenda. You know, Raphael Varane's still on our agenda. That Jules Koundé has been on our agenda. The last time I read up regarding him, he said we had been handed a boost in our bid to sign Jules Koundé. Because Sevilla have lowered their asking price for Jules Koundé to £50 million. Originally, Sevilla were demanding £70 million plus add-ons, so they've knocked £20 million off. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that we was not willing to meet Jules Koundé's £68 million release clause, but he said we was prepared to pay around £61 million. And he actually mentioned that we were the favourites to get him. But his performances for Sevilla have been outstanding. He's been at Sevilla almost 2 years. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019, and he's got a contract with Sevilla until 2024. Pau Torres from Villarreal, he's been another centre-half on our agenda, and Sergio Ramos has been on our agenda, and Kalidou Koulibaly's been on our agenda. We need someone to go alongside Maguire in our back line. Now, obviously, you know the news on Declan Rice. There was narratives coming out saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has agreed with John Murtough and Darren Fletcher that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club. West Ham are demanding £80 million. So if we're willing to pay £80 million, then West Ham are likely to let him go. Earlier on this season, it said West Ham were considering lowering their asking price to £50 million. Declan Rice was relentlessly linked with a move to Chelsea last year. That's obviously when Frank Lampard was in charge. It was Frank Lampard's top target. Frank Lampard was infuriated when he missed out on Declan Rice. The main explanations I take Declan Rice at Man United is because he's a good player, still young, got a lot of development in him. He dramatically improves us, well proven in the Premier League. So they are the reasons. He's predominantly a holding midfielder, but can also play as a centre-half. We're seeing him as a long-term replacement for Matic. Rice has been at West Ham for 7 years. He's under contract with them till 2024. Before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for several years, but never got into their first team. Erling Haaland, we're in for him. I'd love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to sign Erling Haaland. Solskjaer knows the player well. Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. And back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. And earlier on this season, Solskjaer was speaking about Haaland, saying that he's keeping in touch with him and he's following Erling Haaland's progress. I don't think we'll get Haaland. You know, there's so many clubs that have been in for him. If we got Haaland, I'd love it, because Haaland is the type of calibre player we need, because Haaland would come in and he'd assure us goals, and he's young, he's got a lot of development in him. But like I say, Dortmund are demanding in the excess of £100 million. Next year he has a release clause. Haaland has been at Dortmund around 15 months now. Since his arrival at Dortmund, he's been exceptional. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him, and he's got a contract with Dortmund till 2024. Erling Haaland's our centre-forward transfer priority. I heard he's demanding wages of £350,000 from his next club. Dortmund's sporting director Michael Zorg said Dortmund are prioritising finishing in the top 4 in order to keep Haaland. So I'm expecting us to be very busy in the summer transfer window. We are going to sell players in the summer transfer window, like I've mentioned. I think there's a good chance that Juan Mata will leave the club, because Juan Mata doesn't get in our team now. Plus he's out with injury at the moment. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he wasn't surprised that Juan Mata was linked to a move away from the club. I heard 3 Italian clubs were in for him. Earlier on this season, Mata rejected an 18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. His current contract expires in the summer. There's an options trigger for a further year. Mata has been at the club over 6 years. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Yeah, it's looking very, very likely that Cavani is going to leave Man United in the summer. Football Insider have said today that Cavani has reached a verbal agreement to join Boca Juniors at the end of the season. Cavani's contract expires with us in June. So in that aspect, we won't get a transfer fee. Solskjaer did say not so long ago that Cavani is closer to Boca Juniors than staying at Manchester United. But reports from Argentina said earlier on this season that Cavani's decided to leave the club after one season and he wants to join Boca Juniors. His father was speaking the other week saying that Cavani is unhappy at Man United and he doesn't feel comfortable in England and he wants to leave. But he said different earlier on this season because he said Cavani wanted to stay at Man United beyond this season and Solskjaer said he was set for contract extension talks. Cavani hasn't been playing recently due to injury. We got Cavani on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract with the club with an option of a second year. To his credit though, he's made an impact since he's come in. A lot of United fans are saying we need to sell Anthony Martial in the summer. There's a good chance that we'll sell Matic in the summer because he's not one of our first choice midfielders, but he still does get his chances. And I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. He's ageing up now. Matic has been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Pogba could still leave in the summer. Will Donny van de Beek leave in the summer? Now, recent reports have said Donny van de Beek feels loved at the club despite his lack of game time. But prior to that, it says Donny van de Beek wants to quit Man United after one season due to his lack of game time. And he said he wanted showdown talks with Ed Woodward over his future. Solskjaer made an admission earlier on this season saying that Van de Beek's unhappy at the club due to his lack of game time, but he promised Van de Beek more game time at the club. And ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Van de Beek because we was reluctant to let him go. Most of his appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. We need to play him more. You know, he's a good player. We got him in a deal worth £40 million and he's versatile because he can play in 3 different roles. Phil Jones, I want him to leave because he doesn't get in our 11. Just wait there a second. And, you know, Jones has been out of injury for, like, over a year now, hasn't he? You know, he's the only outfield player that's still here from the Ferguson era. Romero, should we offload him? De Gea, there's a good chance we'll sell him in the summer so we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper. Lingard, I think we'll be looking to get rid of him permanently and we'll be looking to get rid of Diego Dalot permanently. So yeah, it is a massive, massive summer transfer window for Solskjaer and Manchester United. Like I've said in regards to Solskjaer, I don't think he's a long-term manager for Man United, but he does deserve at least another season. We're planning for a long-term future under Ole. You know, Solskjaer's already agreed to sign a new contract worth £9 million a year, so he has been given a pay rise. Sources at Old Trafford did say that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal, because Solskjaer enters the final year of his 3-year contract later on this month. I've already said, Solskjaer needs to win a trophy at Manchester United this year to mark progress. So I'm saying the exact same thing as what Gary Neville said not so long ago. Ollie's not yet won a trophy as Man United manager, and we haven't won a trophy since 2017. The FA Cup is a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. But I've probably got to say Solskjaer is our best manager since Ferguson. I've got my concerns about Ollie, but we've obviously got to credit him in quite a few aspects. We're second in the Premier League. He's got us to the FA Cup quarters. He's got us to the Europa League quarters. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. Did well last season, his first full season at the club. Has made good signings as Man United manager. Hasn't got all the players that I wanted to recommend in as yet, though. Solskjaer spent almost 300 million at Man United, and he's endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager, and he has got rid of a lot of players since he came in, and we've endured very, very good periods under him where we have seen consistency, and in some of them good periods he's got the best out of the team. Solskjaer's been Man United manager over 2 years. The news on Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly is reportedly furious with Solskjaer because he doesn't feel respected or wanted by him at the club. Apparently now Bailly is going to refuse a new contract, so is he possibly going to go in the summer? Bailly wasn't part of the squad for the game against AC Milan in the second leg. I think he's been out with a knock. We've got quite a few young players, and I credit Solskjaer for recommending more young players into the club, and I just like the way he has promoted the youth. He's got a lot of trustworthy in young players. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.